Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's Keshwani, Keshwani. We are here because we want to prepare for SAT. We have been solving SAT math problems out of this book here, the official SAT study guide. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it. The problems that we are about to solve is the one that you will find on page number. Did I say problems? If it's the problems, it cannot be is the one. The problems that we are about to solve are the ones that you will find on page number 548. Page 548. And today is our lesson number 45. Today is our lesson number 45 because I explained to you before several times. It takes me 15 videos to go through one exam. Each exam has 3 sections and I take 5 videos. I make 5 videos to cover one section, and therefore there are 15 videos for one exam. Today will be the end of exam number 3. Let's take a look at it. Number 15 and number 16, these are the last 2 problems out of 16 questions that they give you in this particular section. Therefore on a scale of 1 through 16, these are 15 and 16 obviously, and therefore they are difficult. They are level 4 and level 5 questions. Let's take a look at number 15, which is the level 4 question. It says first term of the sequence above is 2. Oh, I can bloody well see that. And every term after the first term is negative 2 times the preceding term. Alright. So the first term is 2. And every term after the first term is negative 1 times the preceding term. So negative 1 times 2 is going to be negative 2. And the next one is going to be negative 1 times the preceding term, which is this guy right here. Negative 1 times negative 2 is going to give us positive 2. And the next one is going to be negative 1 times the preceding term, which is positive 2. And positive 2 times negative is negative 2. Did I make a mistake? I made a mistake, didn't I? Positive 2. Every term after the first term of the sequence is 2. Every term after the first term is negative 2 times the preceding term. Something is going wrong. Oh, negative 2 times the preceding term. I was not reading properly. I was doing negative 1 times the preceding terms. Damn it. When will I learn to pay attention? One wonders. It's negative 2 times the preceding terms. You have to start again. So first term is 2. Every term after the first term is negative 2 times the preceding term. So, alright, negative 2 times the preceding terms. Negative 2 times the preceding terms, which is this right here. So this gives you negative 4. The next one is going to be negative 2 times negative 4. Negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 8. The next one is going to be negative 2 times positive 8, which comes from here. Is negative 2 times the preceding terms, which gives us negative 16. As you can see now, so we get 2 and then negative 4. Then we get negative 4 and then we get positive 8 and then we get negative 16. Which makes sense. Which makes sense because since we are multiplying it by 2, even though we're multiplying each preceding term by negative 2, that's just for the time being, let's say 2, because we are multiplying it by 2, it doubles every time, obviously. Not only it doubles, but because of the fact that we are multiplying it by negative 2 rather than a positive 2, the sign is going to flip back and forth, negative, positive, because first time if it's negative, second time around when you multiply that negative product by a negative 2 again, a negative and negative gives us positive, and then positive, that positive number times a negative 2 again, following one is going to be negative. They're going to go back and forth, negative, positive, forth, and they're going to keep doubling each time. What the hell are they asking? How many of the first 50 terms in this sequence are less than 100? How many of them are less than 100 out of the first 50 terms? Alright. So out of the first 50 terms, the first thing we have to realize, that this is negative 16, the one after that is going to be positive 32. Tell you what, I'm going to erase all of this now because it's getting too crowded. I'm going to erase all of this thing, you already know how to get it, and we're going to just write down the numbers. So it starts with 2, I need the room. So you start with 2, and the positive 2 times the negative 2 is a negative 4. A negative 2 times a negative 4 is a positive 8. A positive 8 times a negative 2 is negative 16. A negative 16 times a negative 2 is a positive 32. Then we're going to get a negative 64. And then what's going to happen? Then it's going to be something 100 something. What I'm trying to make you understand is that out of the first 50 terms, there are only 3 that are less than 50. Sorry, less than 100. One more time I'm going to say it. Out of the first 50 terms, the question here is, how many of the first 50 terms of this sequence are less than 100? Well, let's see. This is negative 64, and then one after that is going to be positive 128. You see, negative 2 times negative 64, this thing is negative 2 times a positive 64, sorry, negative 2 times a negative 64, it gives us positive 128. It is more than 100. This is the last positive number that we're going to see, which is less than 100. And after that, they're all going to be more than 100. One more time, you see? Forget the sign for the time being. Forget the sign, ignore the sign. We start with 2. 2, 4, 8. Then we're doubling each time. You see, we're doubling it each time. 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. That's more than 100. That does not count for us. We are not interested in it. So out of the entire sequence, in the first 50 terms that we will have, only 3 of them are going to be less than 100 of the positive numbers. Of the positive numbers, we're going to have 3 positive numbers, namely 2, 8, and 32. Next positive number that's going to be, it's not going to be 64, it's going to be, because 64 is the negative one. 64 is the negative one. The one after that is going to be 128, which is more than 100. So we're going to have 3 positive numbers, and how many negative numbers? Well, since there are 50 of them, think about it, since there are 50 of them, and they alternate, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. Therefore, out of the 50, we're going to have 25 positive and 25 negative. So out of the first 50 terms, we'll have 25 negative numbers. We're going to have 25 negative numbers and 3 positive numbers for a total of 28 numbers are going to be less than 100. Because they're all negative. These are all negative. So no matter how large the negative number it happens to be, which is going to be a very large negative number, it's going to be a very large number, but because of the fact that it's negative, they're all negative, therefore they're all less than 100. That's the trick part. Do you understand? That's all there is. There are 28 numbers out of the first 50 that are less than 100. Only 3 of them are positive numbers. All the rest, all the remaining 25 numbers out of 28, they're all going to be negative numbers. Every single negative number counts. That's all. That's it. We're done. Let's do the next one, shall we? Number 16. Number 16. Number 16 is a tricky one. There is a reason why it's a level 5 question. So you have to read the question very carefully and understand it. It says, a cube with the volume of 8 cubic centimeter is inscribed in a sphere so that the vertex of the cube touches the sphere. What is the length of the diameter in centimeter of the sphere? A sphere, of course, is the 3-dimensional circle. So, and a cube, of course, is a 3-dimensional square. So think, if 3-dimensional is giving you trouble, if the 3-dimensional is giving you trouble, think in 2 dimensions to begin with. So here's your circle, and in it, we are inscribing a square. The question is, what is it asking? What is the diameter of this circle? The diameter of this circle, let's look carefully. The diameter of this circle is the diagonal of the square. It's the diagonal of the square, but it's three-dimensional. So we have to do it in two steps. First we find the diagonal of the square, and once we have the diagonal of the square, we're going to do something with it. We're going to find the diagonals from the, let's draw the picture, because it's very difficult to actually articulate it without actually having a picture in front of us. So I'm going to erase this two-dimensional part, because this is only the first step. I'm going to put both the steps together so that you can actually visualize it. Here's our cube. Here's our cube. Oh, blasted. I have to do a decent job of it, otherwise it's not going to look nice. I hope that looks fair enough. So in this cube, the first we have to do this diagonal. We have to find out this diagonal. Let's call it A to C. Once we have that diagonal, then the diameter of the sphere that they're talking about is going to join this point to this point. The two points that we can find farthest apart. Think of it this way. Okay, let's keep it very simple. Let's make it very simple. I'm going to make it very simple for you. I want you to picture a cube, a three-dimensional box, and inside my box, I'm going to put this stick in it. I'm going to drop a stick in there. What is the largest length of the stick that I can put in there? Well, if you're looking for the largest length of the stick that you can stick in there, you're not going to put it flat on the bottom floor. That's not the, even if it's diagonal, you're not going to put it flat like that. If you want the largest stick, you're going to take the bottom point here and you connect it to the top point to the opposite side. That's going to give the largest stick. That stick is the diameter of the sphere. That's how large of a circle that you can have that will contain this cube. And that diameter that I just showed you, sitting at an angle, joining the bottom point from here to the top point to the other side, is right here. This bottom point from here to top point there. So the first step for us is find A to C. Once we have that, then we're going to find this guy right here, and because this is a right angle thread. So it's a simple application. It's a simple application of Pythagorean theorem. It's just that we have to do it twice. So let's do it then. We know cube. We are told that cube has the volume of 8. Well, that makes it very easy. Cube has a volume of 8. That tells us that each side is 2. Because 2 times 2 times 2 is, I think I have too many 2's. Because I get carried away, you see, it's the excitement, you understand? One tends to get excited when one is taking the SAT. It's a natural phenomenon. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, you see? So each side is 2. So finding the A to C is very simple. It's just it's an isosceles triangle. I'm calling this point B here, so let's call this thing D here. A, D, C is an isosceles triangle, so A to C is simply 2 times root 2. You can do it out and find out yourself. It's simply A to C. If you were to call it x here, x squared would simply be 2 squared plus 2 squared, which is simply 2 times 2 squared. And if you take the square root of it, this 2 squared comes out as a 2, and then you have root 2. And that's your x. Of course, I didn't have to show you all this thing, because you already know that. That's very simple. So we're not going to worry about that. So now we have A to C. We also know that A to B is 2, because that's one side of the cube. So now I want you to look at triangle ABC. ABC. In triangle ABC, A to B is 2. We just found it. A to C is 2 times root 2. We just found that too. And those are the two legs of the triangle. Those are the two legs of the triangle. It is a right angle triangle. It makes a 90-degree angle here. Therefore, this is our hypotenuse. B to C is our hypotenuse. Let's call it y, because I already used up x. I don't want you to confuse here. B to C, let's call it y. So y squared is going to be the square of this side. So it is 2 times root 2 squared plus the square of that side, which is 2 squared. Root 2 squared is just 2, and 2 squared is 4, so it's 4 times 2, which is 8, here we get 4, so it is 12. And that's your y squared. And of course 12 can be written as 4 times 3. And therefore, if you want to find the y, you're going to have to take the square root of 4 times 3. The square root of 4 is 2, so you just end up with 2 times root 3. That's your y. That's it. That's it, we're done. That's going to be the length of the diameter of the sphere that you can have that can contain this cube. It's going to be very tight. They're going to be touching each other. Now I'm not going to attempt to draw a sphere around it, because if I did that, it will ruin the whole picture. But that's what it is. You have to imagine it. It has to do with something called, I'm not going to say the word because I can never pronounce the bloody thing, so I'm going to write it for you. This problem has to do with something called, that's an S, oh bastard, SPATIAL, which has to do with the ability to be able to see things in 3 dimensions, spatial ability, which I lack badly. I suck at it. I cannot picture things in 3 dimensions. I cannot measure things in 3 dimensions. Some people can. They can just look at the things and the whole thing just falls in their mind right away. I have to draw it out, otherwise I can't see it. Do you understand? But anyway, this is it. This is the end of the exam number 3. There are 10 exams in this book, as I have told you before from the very beginning. 3 down, 7 to go. Stay with me throughout the entire journey, and you will find that you will be far more comfortable with the math portion of the exam than you would ever be without having done these problems. Do every single one of them. It is the best practice that you can have to get you ready for the math portion. Having said that, you also want to work on the reading part of the exam. I cannot help you with the reading portion for 2 particular reasons. First of all, I do not subscribe to the theory, to the idea that one can make somebody a better reader by taking a prep course. I just don't believe in that. I don't subscribe to it. And if you don't understand the meaning of the word subscribe in that sentence, look it up and you will learn the meaning of the word subscribe in that context. I just don't subscribe to that theory. I don't think you can make somebody a better reader by taking a prep course. It just doesn't work that way. A reading skill is something that one acquires over many, many years of practice. Having said that, then the question is, what can one do to improve one's score in the reading portion of the exam? Well, there is one thing that one can do, which is to work on the vocabulary. And for that very purpose, I have put together some videos that you will find at my channel that will help you improve your vocabulary. There are about 60 of them, I believe. That leaves you with the writing portion of the exam. In the writing portion of the exam, even though it is called the writing portion, but overwhelming majority of that portion, over 80% of your writing score, actually comes from simple multiple choice grammar questions. The so-called writing portion is only the essay in the beginning, that's it. But vast majority of this score that you get in the writing portion comes from the grammar questions. And for that reason also, I put together some videos on grammar. Go to my channel and look for them. Just look for SAT grammar video and you'll find them. Alright? But work on them on your own, and you will see that you will see a marked improvement in your ability and your comfort level during the exam, in the real exam. That's the most important part. You want to be comfortable with the bloody thing. You don't want to freak out. Do you understand? Enough of the talk. I'll see you tomorrow, okay? We'll begin our exam number 4 tomorrow on day number 46. Alright? Bye now.